Coming to get you, Barbara.
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
We have such sights to show you.
Who's laughing now?
I get crazy. Kill you all. I'm the greatest man you ever had. I am your worst dream come true. I'm everything you ever were afraid of.
They're here.
Here we are. Hello.
What is going on, people? Timothy, Dan, thank you guys for checking in first. I appreciate
Hello,
it.
guys. Cheers to Thursday.
Oh, yes. Cheers, public. It's not very tasty,
Pepsi.
but it is tasty.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I can't remember the last time I had a Pepsi, actually.
It's diet, but it counts. It's still tasty. I like it.
Well, hello, everyone. Tonight we're talking about William Devin Howell. And as Miguel said earlier, this guy's a real piece of shit.
It's true.
Usually they are.
It's hard to get around that. They just are. We don't really cover people who aren't. That would be weird, because then why are they in a true crime setting?
I know. I was thinking, it's funny you say that. I was thinking actually one episode we should do just talk about victims of these crimes and just get to know them a little bit more, because whenever you see stuff on TV, it's always about sensationalizing the killer and stuff, but not really deep diving into these families and these people. Like, most of them, for the most part, were good people. A lot of times just kind of on the wrong path, wrong place, wrong time kind of thing. So I don't know, it would be nice to do that once in a while.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah, a lot of them just living a life. It might not even be their first choice of what they want to be doing, but they're doing it, and they don't deserve to die because of it. When you're looking at a lot of cases, like in this one in particular, and I would say half, if not more, of the cases we cover, they're going after the very bottom, very desperate people who aren't in a position that's going to help them if they go missing. Like they are just missing at that point, and either there is someone looking for them and nobody else seems to care and want to help, or there's pretty much nobody at all who's going to look for them, and that's obviously worse. It's very sad. It's unbelievably sad how many of these cases go unsolved for so long, not because of the police not looking for a serial killer, but them not looking for anybody at all. That's just rough.
Yeah, that sucks. Well, I guess we can get into it. He was born in Hampton. Sorry, go ahead.
One more thing, because when you told me about this case, I actually didn't know who he was. And I didn't realize how recent it was, because the entire spree, because it was actually pretty dang quick. It was all in 2003. As far as the murders
within
go.
a span of like 9 months, I think.
Oh yeah, and that really got to me, because a lot of the witnesses or the testimonials I saw in some documentaries on YouTube, there's a lot of them on there too, guys. If you want to check it out, I gotta find a book for this too, so I can recommend it. But I will definitely see if I can't find one. They are new footage, people who are still around, not like secondhand. It's firsthand accounts of like people who knew him, family members of the victims. And it was crazy to see it in a new light, where it was so clear. Like it's like the difference between watching football reruns from like the 90s to early 2010s, and you can see that HD switch. Like all of a sudden, it's actually real. It doesn't feel like it's old timey footage. It's not like disconnect where it's
Right.
OJ Simpson trial where it looks pretty grainy still. It's 100% like this happened not that long ago. This was less than 20 years ago that it happened. He is still alive, and
Yeah.
these kind of people are definitely still around today. It's less frequent because it's harder and harder to hide like they do, but they still have been around, and they still
Oh
are
yeah.
around. So,
Yeah. And there's still a lot of unsolved shit too.
100%.
Still active killers out there. It's crazy.
I don't like any of them. I'll tell you right now. Yeah, I'm against
Don't
them.
don't care for it. Don't care for it one bit.
That is our stance. It's very controversial, but we're against people serial killing other people.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's my pet peeve, right? It's one of those bugaboos. Damn it. All right. I just wanted to get that out of there because it just came to my mind like watching the documentaries, any footage like they have of him. One of them did a Photoshop of him younger, like when it would happen, like what he looked like more of while the killing was happening.
Oh. That'd
And
be cool
it
to
just
see.
it really made it hit home more, I think. Like it was just so recent, and it
Yeah.
definitely. Ugh, I don't know why it added another level to it to me. It just really added more weight to the entire situation.
Yeah, because I guess he was sentenced. Let's see. Hold on. In 2017
Yeah.
for the we'll get into it. We'll get into it. Okay, so he was born in Hampton, Virginia on February 11th, 1970, which most serial killers are born in like from like the 40s to like the 70s.
A lot of.
He said he had a relatively normal childhood, but it's funny because like you go back and you think, well, that's not quite normal. His mom died when he was 15 of cancer. She got diagnosed when he was 12, I believe. And since then he had a weird obsession with paying for prostitutes.
Yeah, right off the bat, I think it was like 14 when he started.
14, yeah. So it was right before his mom died. Which begs the question, like, what is this? What is that? Because he was saying that he wasn't abused. He had siblings and everything was normal with them. So I'm super confused.
Yeah, I mean, he had older brothers, right? Like he had quite a few brothers, I thought, and the dad was still around. It's not like he took off or anything. Obviously, the mom going through that is very traumatic for everyone, but
right in your informative years and stuff. But I don't know. It's weird. Like they say that you form your personality by the time you're about 5 years old.
Shit, it's not good. Definitely not good. I remember being a real piece of shit at 5 years old. All right, I was already grifting people. I was definitely, shaking down, other kids and whatnot. It was bad.
Give me your lunch money.
Yeah, a lot of that kind of stuff. Terrible things. So not
yeah, right. But yeah, he started getting into drugs later on in his life, and yeah, so he would find all these jobs to pay for his drug and prostitute habit. He would do odd jobs when he was young, and then it kind of carried over into adulthood. He got busted for larceny, burglary. He was driving on a suspended license. So he just was racking up those charges from when he was young into his adulthood. And he moved to Connecticut when he was 30. Apparently, he had 2 children as well.
Yeah,
with his girlfriend.
a high school sweetheart kind of situation, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But like you said, he was already pretty heavy to the drug use at an early age. I think it was throughout high school as well. Like you said, like a young guy. One of the documentaries said because she was interviewing him, but I don't remember if he said it himself or it was just secondhand in the interview. That it was a daily drinking habit. Like there was never a time where he didn't have something in his system. Before school, he would start drinking. It was nonstop. There was always something that he was on or drinking or doing something to mess with his head. Because when you're that young, it's definitely going to affect you a lot.
Right, and your brain doesn't finish developing till after you're about 25. So I can imagine all the drinking and drugs every day. Can't imagine what that did to his brain.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Yeah. He moved to Connecticut when he was 30, okay. And in 2002, he started working for Benco Roofing. And at this point, he was living in his van that he purchased from his then girlfriend's parents. His boss let him kind of hang around in the parking lot because he didn't have a place to live. And he built his van to basically be able to live in it. So he, made it like a nice little comfy sitch for him.
Not like living the tiny houses nowadays. Just
hashtag van life on TikTok.
He does not have a vlog for it though. He did not do that. Oh, for the last 3 years making my perfect dream house on wheels and eating tapas everywhere I go. He ate no tapas. I'll say that right now.
Oh, tapas! I'm hungry.
I'm sorry. I should have brought him up.
It's okay. I'm starving. All right. He developed rape fantasies, which unfortunately, it's like if the prostitutes weren't enough, you had to want to rape the women as well.
That is, people have some weird fetishes out there, but if you don't take care of that kind of stuff in a very open and a very safe environment, things can get very bad very quickly.
Dude, that's the shit with pornography and shit. There's been experts saying that a lot of people who look up child pornography are not actually pedophiles, but they're sexual, like they've been exposed to so much that they just keep looking for something crazier and crazier because it's not satisfying them anymore.
Yeah.
And that's when it gets into like dangerous territory.
Oh, absolutely.
Because then after a while of fantasizing and watching these things, you eventually give in. Like most people eventually commit crimes if this shit goes unchecked.
It's one of those things, yeah, especially if you feel yourself getting to that point. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having different fantasies and stuff. Go do yourself, but you can't let it get to that point where you are willing to hurt others to fulfill your own wants. It just does not. It's not right. It does not work that way.
Right. Like, do whatever the fuck you want, but once you start encroaching on me and my fucking life, and, it's in the Constitution, isn't it? Or one of those important documents.
They have Constitution, yeah, it's totally in there. So you're allowed at least 3 whips and 1 candle melting on your back. It's a thing. It's in there.
Some people like that shit too, though.
Yeah, that's what. But that's usually we always focus on like the violent, fantasies. But like you said, like it can start just something being desensitized to just normal things happening on screen, and all of a sudden you build, like you said, build, and then all of a sudden, and it's not everybody, obviously, but you just have to check yourself. And I think he's one of those situations where there was obviously a lack of impulse control from an early age,
right?
And already using women in an unhealthy way, just not seeing them as people, just a commodity to be bought and traded. So. Right.
And he also, the way he treated these women after he obviously raped them and killed them, just tossed them like trash. And that kind of said what he felt about certain types of women. Like he considered his mother's or his children's mother to be a good girl because she didn't do drugs and she didn't drink and all that stuff. And then like the prostitutes he murdered, some weren't even prostitutes, just had, issues like we mentioned earlier. Uh, they were bad. They were bad girls, and they just basically to him were disposable.
Which is such a fucked up thing, because that was one of the things he mentioned in the interviews, like why he targeted these women, and the interviewer was asking like, why did you just think of them as less than? Like, oh yeah, I had a disdain for these women, and they were putting themselves in these harmful situations. Like, you're the harmful situation. Like,
Exactly.
what?
He's
Yeah.
such a hypocrite, dude, and that's the narcissist in his brain. Like, that's why I feel, it's crazy. He was definitely a narcissist, and I wrote down a few things that made him that way. Not made him that way, but his traits that kind of like things that he did that makes sense to call him a narcissist. Like then the shit that he named his van, which we'll get into, killing sex workers, like him feeling like he's above them and better than them, raping somebody. I mean, that's a completely satisfying sort of act, and the name of the place where he placed his or tossed his victims. It's crazy.
Yeah, it all adds up to someone you don't want around in society. You really don't.
Yeah. July 31st of 2003, Brenda Torres reported her sister Nilsa Arismendi missing. She had been living with her boyfriend in a hotel, like a little motel where they would sleep. And, if they slept, because they did a lot of drugs. Well, heroin, yeah, they probably slept a lot. They would do their heroin, and then he would go and basically pimp her out. And then she would work all day, and then she would bring the money, and they would get their drugs, and they would do drugs together. And basically he was her boyfriend, Angel, oh shoot. What was his name? His last name? Sanchez. Angel Sanchez. He was a drug dealer. So the police, of course, he was the first one that they looked at.
That usually makes sense, though, because statistics show that a lot of these cases are passion crimes from the person you're with. So when you're sleeping in your bed with your loved one, just kind of watch them. Maybe, like, tie one hand to the bed on each side, so each of you like get the other one easy. Chance so you don't murder each other. Just watching out. Hey, Richard, how you doing?
Hi, Richard. So 6 days prior to her being reported missing, her boyfriend watched her get into this John's van. And the sign that he had on the van it said quality lawn service, just call Devin. And as we know, William Devin Howell had a van. And they wanted to they questioned her boyfriend, and he gave them that information, but he also took a polygraph test, which he passed. And then that is when they started looking for Devin.
Yeah, and I think he went by Devin from a pretty early age. Like, that was definitely something he was known by. I know
and Bill. So he changed his name. I think that kind of helped him hide a little bit, disguise himself, get away with it a little longer.
Definitely agree with that. Yeah, I think that those little details that change from stories, especially when they don't seem connected in the first place, it makes it harder. Because like one of the hardest cases to investigate is a serial killing, because usually it's not people that they know. It's usually in different areas, and it's usually people who aren't connected, except by motive. So if you find a woman who looks similar in a murder case in one area as opposed to another, just because they look similar, it's not their first thought. It's not going to be, oh, this is definitely a repeat offender. It's usually like, there's a boyfriend, ex-lover, or something that you're looking for, or somebody who would have motive, that you'd expect to have motive.
Right, and they were known to fight each other a lot. The neighbors would hear them fighting, and they would often, had a really volatile relationship. So of course, I mean, it does make sense that they would look at him. Also, him being a known drug dealer and user, it makes sense. But he got, he didn't do it. Obviously, he passed his polygraph. He was good. And then November 28th of 2003, William got pulled over because they basically got the description of the van, and he got pulled over, and the car was registered in his girlfriend's name at the time, Dorothy Holcomb. She had bought that van, like I mentioned. He had bought the van from her parents not long before he started doing this to these women, by the way. He was found in North Carolina, which is 800 miles away from Connecticut. And he had violated his probation, because I guess if you're on probation, you're not supposed to leave the state.
No, you are not.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big no-no, I hear.
Yeah.
It surprises me how bold he would be to do that then, especially if you're killing people.
He's a narcissist. I'm telling you. All of these are the signs. He just only gave a shit about himself.
I got to agree with that 100%. Yeah, it was everything about him, or it was about his beliefs on other people.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So they searched his vehicle. Oh, before that though, they had to hold him in North Carolina and wait for the Connecticut police to come and serve, get a warrant for violating the probation, so they could take him back and fucking, really, because they already had this information from Angel, so they wanted to look further into that, and that's just their way to get him back. Which, yeah.
So they were trying to do it by the book as best they could, then, at least.
Right, of course. Okay. They didn't want, since they had this information, there's no way you're gonna fuck that up and let him get away.
That's smart then. That's a good thing.
So they searched his vehicle and they found blood stains under a carpet in there. They pulled out the cushions and the carpet and all that stuff. And they found other DNA samples that they couldn't, or other sorts of samples. They didn't really say what it was. It could have been, samples, unidentified samples, which is probably his samples.
We've all seen SVU. There's some pretty messed up stuff that's going to come with these crimes.
Oh my God.
But real quick, Sarah Mann checking in. Hey, how you doing? And we are talking about William Devin Howell. He is a serial killer from the early 2000s. And we're just getting in. This is only his first victim that we're talking about so far. So you are in a good spot to join us if you like that kind of stuff. I apologize if you don't, but listen either way.
Thank you. All right. So they also found 6 tapes, videotapes, back when they had like VHS tapes. Do you remember that?
No, those were those like brick things, right? And then you would chisel on them and there'd be information or something.
Get out of here. They found 6 tapes with 6 different women in the videos of him having bizarre sex with them. And he taped them in a way to where you couldn't see their face. So it would have been hard to identify them unless they had any sort of like tattoos or anything, or specific birthmarks and stuff, which I think he knew that.
It sounds like, he planned that out, or he was just a really shitty cameraman. I don't know. Either one sounds awesome.
Doubt it. And it's crazy. This is no spoiler. He killed 7 people. And he had 6 tapes. One of the victims he didn't rape. He attempted to. But yeah, we'll get into that one, and I'll explain why in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
So while he was in jail, he was bragging to another inmate about all of the things that he did and how he talked about he beat the shit out of her in the back of the van. And at this point, yes, they had arrested him for the manslaughter. They arrested him for, charged him with manslaughter at this point because they couldn't find a body of Nilsa. the girl that had gone missing. So they charged him with first-degree manslaughter for that. And then he was basically bragging about how he beat her up and how he threw her out of the van and all that stuff. And he was worried about a body being found. So he basically admitted to doing it to an inmate who was an informant, by the way. So, yeah, in order for this informant to get a lesser sentence, you know, he got all of this information from him, basically helping the cops out.
I mean, even though it's for a, you know, obviously for self benefiting reasons, it's a good thing he did that. I'm very happy that he would. So,
well, this guy was also a murderer. So, yeah. I mean, still with a murder, well, I would say all murder should be life, but this guy only got a 15-year sentence, Mr. William. Unfortunately. But hey, it all worked out in the end for the families, and we'll get into that. So January of 2007, he put in an Alford plea, which basically is saying that I'm only admitting to this because you guys have enough evidence to prosecute me. But then later, a hunter was out in the wooded area behind the strip mall, and he found a human skull, apparently. So the police came out. They found 50 bones, a total remains of 3 women. On April 28th of 2015 is when they went back and found 4 more bodies. And 2017 was when they identified the last body. So yeah, this was very recent.
Yeah, I mean that takes 5 years out, and that's they went what is that 14 years without finding everybody's identity from when the start of what happened to catching him to identifying everybody.
Right, and he was in jail by this point already. What's this?
What 80s hit is Miguel singing at the Ghostbusters Gym party stream? We're gonna need some. Yeah, we definitely could use something a little more bright because, I mean, it's good that he was caught and he was stopped, but it took almost 2 decades of.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
And that means
and plus, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, getting permission to do shit too, like certain warrants and investigations, like that takes some legal time as well. So and DNA, you can't just it's not like in the movies and the TV shows where they can just run it through a machine and oh, this is who it is. Sometimes it takes years. Yeah. Well, in this day and age, I'd assume it takes a few months. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not a scientist or a DNA person.
I think it's still based on budget too, because it costs to run those diagnostics, and certain jurisdictions or certain police stations have less, funding for certain things than others. And they literally talk about how if we do all of these DNA tests, we'll be out of budget for this, and it's still all bureaucracy. It's still all red tape. To justify a budget, or if it's going to make someone look good or look bad. It really does come under a lot of politicking still, which is
I was gonna say all the politics too.
Yeah, very, very sad that has to go in there, but it's just a system that we have to work with right now.
All right. Well, I'm gonna get into the victims really quick. 29-year-old Melanie went missing January 1st, 2003. She was last seen with 2 men. She was known for she was a mother of 2, but she was kind of on drugs. And, I'm assuming she thought that she was going to be buying drugs and all that stuff. Her remains were found in 2015. She was raped and hit with a hammer. And then when she didn't die, she was eventually strangled and he kept her in his van with him because he couldn't figure out what to do with her body for 2 weeks, and he slept next to her and called her baby. And I can't imagine the smell. I can't imagine nobody smelled that shit.
Yeah, because he was using his van for, transportation, living space, going to get like one of the.
Yeah, he had a job. It was like a landscaper almost, or like a gardener or something like that.
Either way,
Doing like odd jobs.
It comes with him on site, like it's there at work.
Yeah, people could easily just. There's a body in here.
Yeah, which I guess there's plenty of times I could think of like just your day to day. If you think about it, like you're not going up to random cars and like is there a body in there? But if I would assume, I would hope if you smell something like that, or if you feel that's uncomfortable, like there's got to be that itch in your back of your head, just like maybe I should say something. I would hope at least people. My body ends up in the back of someone's van. Just poke around, please. Somebody, whoever's out there. You don't even have to tell the police. Take a selfie with it and get it to go viral. We'll take care of it later. But just find me at least. I'd really appreciate it.
I'm sure your body will be laid to rest. I don't know. I don't think anybody would take you, Miguel. No one would kidnap you. You'd probably talk them to death about.
I'm not good enough. Now I'm offended. I would.
No, you talk them to death. Well, this cigar here, if you notice.
You guys check out that new series on YouTube. It's pretty good. I'm a wealth of cool information. They would absolutely, the abductions would be lining up. Okay, fight them off with a stick, literally, if they try to take me. But I digress. One of the
they'd lure you with a Coke Zero.
Oh shoot! Yeah, that would. But like you were saying though, like he was living with this chick. They talked about him going through like the McDonald's on multiple occasions with either victims tied up or a dead body in the car while he's ordering food, and it's like that is really, really ballsy right there. I can't believe you could do something like that.
Yeah, and he had some of them tied up in the back and would scream, "Don't fucking scream," basically, or I'll kill you. And he ended up killing them anyway, which is really sad. Like, he terrorized them. He would rape them for like 12 hours and then drive around with them, scoping for new victims while he's got one in the back. Like, that addiction, is crazy.
It's insane. It really is.
Yeah. 26-year-old Marilyn went missing from her mother's home. She was a mother of two. Actually, you know what? I don't remember if Melanie was a mother of two, but I know Marilyn was. She left the home May 16th. And then I can't remember when her body was found, if it was in 2015 or 2017, but she was... Because they found three sets of remains, and then came back years later and found 4 more.
Yeah, it looks like she was found in 2015. And
okay.
Marilyn is the mother of 2. Yeah, that's her.
Okay. 44-year-old Janice, she was a trans woman. And this is what I was talking about earlier, why he didn't have a sex tape with one. And he had videos of just the 6. This was a trans woman. She was last seen June 18th, 2003, getting into his van. He tried to rape her, but when he discovered that she was trans, he strangled her to death. Basically, like, you fucking bitch, you try to trick me kind of thing. Like
it's her fault, yeah.
Yeah, it was really sad. And she was found in 2011. But I don't think they knew who she was yet at that point when they found her. Nilsa was 33, and she, we just talked about her. She was the reason why he was caught. Like, her case was how he got caught. 23-year-old, this was his youngest victim, Jovelyn, went missing in October 10th of 2003. And they noticed that she didn't even show up to her own birthday party, which was how they knew something was up. And it's sad because it was 6 months. 6 months went by, like since somebody had last talked to her, and nobody tried to reach out or anything. No, it's because, she was known to maybe sell herself and she was on drugs. And she was identified in 2013 in September. And then the last victim, 53-year-old Diane, went missing in mid-2003. They noticed that she was missing because she was in a landlord-tenant dispute, and the police had lost contact with her because there was like an ongoing thing. She was known to be a drug addict as well. She was found in 2007, but identified in 2011. So yeah, he's in jail now, and he's hearing all of these things that people are saying about him, how he supposedly broke one of his victim's jaw out, and he's like, no, I didn't do that. I just pulled out some teeth. Like,
That makes it so
shit
much
like
worse.
yeah, shit like that. And then he's bragging about how he just threw one of the girls, some of these one, I believe it was the older woman, her remains like in a trash can outside of a dollar store, and openly telling inmates information about all this. Like, that's the narcissism. He's just so, he thinks this grandiose sort of like, image of himself that he had is crazy. Oh, one more. Mary Jane was 40. She was the last victim. She went missing October of 2003. She was a mother of 2. And she was identified in 2013. And she had known him as Bill.
So did some of these cases, it looked like maybe he had contact before with them, like previous, because he did pick up a lot of sex workers. So
Right. So he might have known. I mean, he knew Nilsa. He partied with her and her boyfriend. So, and he knew her. He had got, drugs from and with them, because, like I said, her boyfriend was a drug dealer.
But like you said though, like the ages go from 23 to the oldest was 56 or 58.
53, I believe.
53.
But then again, Wikipedia says 55, and then a news article I read said 53, and then you're saying 58, so I don't know which one's correct.
Well, definitely in her 50s. So
Yeah.
it ranges an age group from early 20s to mid 50s.
Yeah.
And the only thing they really have in connection is that they were either drug addicts or just in desperate situations. So it just goes to show, like, he didn't really have a type. He was just looking for people that he could easily overpower,
Right.
and that he
Vulnerable
people, which is one of the just one of the horrible things that he did, and just adds on to how horrible of a person he was.
In 2016 September, he was charged for the other 6 murders while also still serving his sentence for Nilsa. Jonathan, one of the inmates, drew a map for the police based on, this was the guy who got the lesser sentence. I don't remember who the other, it might have still been the same guy, because basically
I think so.
There's an informant, and he drew a map based on William's description of, basically bragging about where he threw the bodies and all this stuff. And he was able to get a lesser sentence for that. And then November 17th of 2017, he was sentenced. And he pled guilty to all, but apparently he was bawling like a baby, crying, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. He complained about his diabetes and how he's going to die a slow death in prison, and just sob story after sob story.
He's got diabetes. Oh no, definitely don't arrest him.
He looks like the dude who said the diabetes, like the diabetes commercial. Look at this dude. There's an even worse one of him where he has a white beard, like, and glasses. Like, he looks like shit, bro.
Yeah, I think this is one of the headshots from when he was first apprehended. So it's
Right.
definitely much younger than he is now, because obviously from sentencing till now, that's what, 5 years. He's serving a 300-year sentence, which is 6 consecutive life sentences.
Mm-hmm.
Which awesome, good. Never is gonna get out. There's no way.
Mm-mm.
Awesome.
The
yeah,
way they wrote it into his sentence was basically he will get no parole. He will get no reduction of a sentence. He's not getting any of that shit.
Good.
He's done forever and will be in there forever. And haha, look you guy.
I like it. I'm fine with that. And you know what? There have been a couple of cases that I think we've covered that an informant or a plant has been the reason why we caught them. H.H. Holmes talked to somebody in prison when he was arrested in Texas, and that led to a lot of stuff happening to him where it finally kind of came crashing down. Robert Picton in Canada talked to a plant that they put in one of his cells, thinking that he was, again, one of those guys thinking they're really smart so they can talk about it and no problem,
Right.
no trouble whatsoever. So good.
But you know, men in jail, people in prison, they don't fuck with women or, men who fucking rape women. They don't play that shit. Women and children, you don't fuck with them.
No, he's not having a good time. I'm almost guarantee it. I'm hoping he's not having an easy life in there.
Yeah.
And dude looks like dude has a face you want to hit with the truck. I believe that.
Hit him with his own van repeatedly.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all.
We should do an episode where we choose the punishments. What we would have done if we ruled the world.
we gotta get some of the other girls on that one, because I think they would dig that. I dig that idea a lot.
I love that idea. I gotta write that down before I forget it.
Put that down, yeah. But yeah, so behind bars, very good. It did take a minute, but you know what? There's been cases that have gone on 30 plus years without them finding or ever identifying everybody.
The Golden State guy. Jesus Christ. He was in front of everybody's noses.
And absolutely no idea until they had the DNA evidence. Through one of the it wasn't like 23andMe, but it was one of the open source ones of the DNA finders, which actually I just got sent an article today about a congresswoman talking about the dangers of putting your information on there, because people who might not like you can use that information against you. For instance, if you have a rare disease of some sort, or just even an allergy, it can be traced in your DNA. So if somebody wanted to use that against you and you're in an open sourced, DNA database, you can find that information. In fact, that's why there was what book was it? I think it was Tools for Titan, where this guy interviews a bunch of high-powered executives, like the top 1% of every kind of career he could find, from generals to star athletes to people who run Fortune 500 companies. And a couple of them talked about they do not let information about their DNA out, because there were cases where abductors would basically inject you with something that was specifically against your DNA, and they would ransom you that way, because they don't have to. You're not going to be able to run if you need something from them. And it was a really scary thought. It's a new form of, not blackmail, but a new form of coercion that people are just not ready for. And that could be a whole topic on its own, but it's still so new that I don't know how much I could even speak on it. Like I barely wrap in my head around that much. And it just, oh God, it's scary. It's scary to think that something so that was supposed to be used for good could be used for something so horrible.
Damn. I still want to do the DNA shit, because I want to see where my family lives.
Right? Yeah. You can get all that stuff, or trace where you come from and stuff. That sounds really great.
I won't be able to get anything really from my dad's side. because he, he's the first one to come to Cuba. Him and his family were the first ones to come to America from Cuba.
Oh, for sure.
What song am I singing? Oh shit, I don't know.
We'll have to plan out a
I don't
karaoke
know.
episode.
I know I have well, yeah, that'd be cool. I guess I don't know.
I'm down for that as well.
It would need to be more than just the two of us.
Yeah, we gotta get everybody on board for that one.
No, we should go out and film it.
That's definitely more alcohol involved for that episode. That is not a Diet Coke night. Like I will sing poorly, but I need shots for it every time. But that's pretty much all I got on this guy. I mean, he is gonna rot away, which is a good ending for this, I think.
He's gonna get the diabetes.
Good.
I hope they cut off his feet.
Fuck yeah, fuck his feet.
All right.
That touches on this guy. It was really nice to talk about one of these cases that's much more recent than a lot of the other ones we've done.
Mm-hmm.
I think Robert Pickton was early 2000s that he was apprehended and sentenced. So this one is much newer than that, even by over a decade at least. So I don't know if that's a good thing or if it's a scarier thing that these cases are getting closer to us. But it does make it feel, it does make it hit more close to home. So.
Yeah, I'm excited about the technology that's coming out, though, that we're gonna be able to expose these guys
for sure
a little faster than we would have.
I agree, 100% agree with that. All right, I think we wrap it for tonight.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us, and tune in Tuesday for Arizona.
Yes, we should have a guest on Tuesday with a very interesting conspiracy theory. I don't want to give it away just in case he can't make it this Tuesday. But something nice is coming out of that. Something very interesting. So I hope you'll stick with us. And now we have some ideas for next Thursday as well. Just the sentencing alone, I would love to do that. You're gonna die from fucking a cheese grater. I would love that.
Oh man, I'm excited too because it's only, let's see, we're in July. We're only almost 3 months away from Halloween, our spoopy month, and I'm ready for cool weather. I'm ready. Bring it.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, it's so hot out there, guys. I'm not going outside.
I can hate it.
Nope. Don't love it.
Can't make me.
All right, people. Y'all have a good one, and we will see you next Thursday, same time. Different horror topic, and have a great night.
All right, bye, guys.